guys. Are you guys excited for the panel?
Yes.
Yes. Awesome. So we're going to go through I'll run through some questions with her, and then after that, we'll open it up for some questions for you guys. So if you guys need some time to think about it, you have some time to put some stuff together. All right. Give it just a few seconds and we'll get started. Yeah. All right, you guys. So now we are going to welcome the lovely Robyn Lively for our panel today. So everyone, please welcome Robyn. Have a seat.
I had to get my sweater. It was a little chilly in here.
It's a little chilly. Yeah.
How are you guys? How is everybody? It was so many people way in the back. Why are you guys all the way back there?
She wants you guys to come closer.
Come closer. You don't have to. You don't have to. Oh, you're working on this.
She's working on it.
Oh, okay. I get it. Yeah.
Awesome. So as we all know, Robyn has had quite the acting career. She's done some really amazing things and some pretty notoriety in some films that we have and some shows and stuff. My most popular one is Teen Witch, which we all know her from. And I was telling Robyn earlier.
Thank you.
My mom got really mad at me because I had it on VHS and I watched it so much that I burnt out 2 VHSs because I rewound it and watched it all the time. It was on repeat.
Safe to say you know the movie way better than I do.
I used to get in trouble because I would walk through the house and do the rap all the time. Talk that!
Yes, I love it.
So I'm definitely excited to have you here and to be able to interview you and share you with everybody here at Sinister.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna quiz you to start you out.
Wow, I didn't study. I'm nervous.
And I'm gonna see how many other people know this as well.
Okay.
Do you remember the words to the spell to make you popular?
Oh yeah, Argentum Popularum Censarum.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
It's such a key part of the movie, but it's also like
It's a
a
good
small
one, right?
part.
Yes.
So, you know.
I know the wind spell too. Do you know the wind spell?
I do not have it off the top of my brain.
You told me that you just broke 2.
Okay, so I have to
You don't
explain.
have-
I have
she
to
doesn't-
explain. I own a haunted house, and my husband and I run and operate a haunt. So I was at haunt until 2:30 last night, and then got up at 4 to be here this morning.
I'm writing it down. You just failed that one. So
Okay.
I need to have my own
docked off points.
Yeah, she's
All right, interview's over, you guys. I failed. I'm sorry. So you play Louise, our beloved in Teen Witch, and
Yes.
she was portrayed as very innocent and sweet. Do you feel that they portrayed that in the script when you read it before you got on set?
Do I think what?
Do you think that they portrayed her innocence and sweetness in the script before you got on set and brought it to life?
Oh, that's such an interesting question. I was so young, at the time when I did the movie. I was 15, you guys. And then I turned 16 in the middle of making it. And then, that's so interesting because, you always bring a piece of yourself to every role that you do. There's, it's innately you are, some roles it hits a lot closer to home than others. This one I felt was fairly close to home for me. So I would imagine that, yes, of course it was written, but also, I was 15 and pretty young and innocent myself. So I think it was kind of just it was probably a lot of just myself, really. But yeah.
So to touch back on the innocence as well, do you feel that her innocence was portrayed properly even after the scenes with Brad where they kind of leave the imagination left open?
Oh my gosh. Those scenes, which one are you talking about?
Like you guys go into the haunted house and you make out, and then
guys, it was so embarrassing. Oh my! Well, listen. Okay, so I was 15. He was such a babe too, right?
Still,
so I had a crush on him. I'm not gonna lie. We all did. All of the girls on the set. But he was just so fun and sweet, and I didn't have any problems kissing him whatsoever.
I don't think anybody would.
No, but those scenes were added after we filmed to kind of make it a little bit more mature, and I didn't have any idea what the implications were. I was just like, oh yeah, kiss this cute guy, no problem.
And now when you go back and look at it, are you like, oh, they some slight implications in there.
Yeah, and I was clueless. I was completely clueless to it. I had no idea. I had
when
no
you
idea.
pieced it together, were you just like mortified?
Well,
like,
yes.
oh my goodness.
Yes, of course, because I was so innocent myself, and just like, it was just like, I didn't have a clue. Absolutely clueless. But I think that it was a little more gratuitous back then in the 80s, like scenes like that. Well, that's debatable, but anyway.
And the 80s had a very like particular style of like kissing.
This is what I'm saying. That was what I meant.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's like
yes,
it's subtle, but it implies a lot,
That's
but without
right.
crossing any lines or kind of getting too graphic or
I mean, I
pushing
remember
boundaries too much.
as a teenager watching Karate Kid, the first one, and the way he kissed her at the golf course. Did you guys see that?
Yes.
I was like, oh my gosh, she's like swallowing her face whole. But that was like 80s, that was like the 80s style.
So something that
in the movies,
as women, we look back on through our whole lives. It doesn't matter what age bracket we're in, where we're at in our lives. There's always a picture that you look at or something that you've done in the past, and you look at the fashion at that point.
Yes.
So on fashion choices for Louise, do you feel that it captured her very well in the storyline, or do you think that they could have spruced her up a little bit to kind of just add into the story, or do you think that maybe if they spruced her up, it would have taken away a little bit of her as a whole?
Well, I think it was pretty good because first of all, you guys don't know this, but a lot of those clothes, the popular girl clothes, were my own clothes. Or you knew that, yeah. My mom, exactly. Yeah. So, with low budget films, they're like, oh, they ask for your own clothes. And I didn't mind either because I liked my own clothes. But I thought they did a great job with the contrast between Louise, the unpopular Louise, and then the glow-up Louise.
Right.
Oh, gosh, that was so fun. That was like a dream come true. I loved it.
My favorite is that you referenced once in an article about the olive green top with the skirt and the floral print. And
yes. Those olive shoes.
Yes.
They were the worst. That big old skirt. But honestly, I didn't mind. Like, I embraced it. I was like, okay, whatever. I was surprised, like, looking back on that, like, being 15 years old and, like, sure, make me look whatever. I don't care. I liked it.
Well, and it's probably crazy because of all the acting that you've done, all the different, from the 80s to the 90s till now, the fashion style that's changed in the characters and all the different things that you've gone and how productions changed.
Yes.
So I bet that's definitely kind of interesting to go and see.
Yeah.
And see the evolution of it all, because I think that's probably pretty cool too.
Yeah, I loved it. Anything with shoulder pads, I loved.
Aquanet and shoulder pads.
Oh my
How could you go wrong?
You just shoulder pads in literally everything. T-shirts, it didn't matter. Just looked good.
Oh yeah.
And
it was like comfy chic all at the same time.
Yes.
So like you had style, but you were still comfortable.
Of course, yes.
So this is something that I've always thought about, even when the movie was still young and fresh. Madame Serena, you guys have such a great relationship in the movie, and you guys have a connection in a past life that they tell throughout the story as well. So I always felt that even going forward in the real world, that you and Madame Serena would have some kind of a connection. So whether it's just mental or actually, together later on in the years or whatever, but do you ever wish that you had Madame Serena on speed dial so that she can give you the amulet back as an adult to fix your normal life, everyday problems of craziness that come around?
Well, if you're talking about the character, I would say that Louise probably would not have wanted it back, because I think that she realized, like in the movie, that the real magic was believing in yourself. And I think she embraced that wholeheartedly and then was like, okay, you can have your magic. Because Serena was all about the, turning turning toads into like princes and the money, and she was more into that. And I think Louise was like, that's not for me, because what if he doesn't love me for who I am? And so I don't think she would have done that.
But as Robyn yourself, do you ever have moments where you think like, oh, damn, I wish I could have that amulet so I could just like fix this?
Why do you think I made my own? Hello.
2016, you did an interview with Up Rocks, which was an amazing interview. Your answers were fantastic, and the interviewer did such a great job.
Oh, nice. I have to watch that again.
In the closing of that interview, you were asked if you felt like Louise would want her powers back as an adult, and you wanted to stay tuned, and that was 8 years ago. So, is there anything potentially in the works, or was there at one point in time?
There wasn't. It was so close to happening. Oh my gosh, it was going to be so great, you guys. It was going to be a series, and it was so good. And then just it fell apart because of COVID, and then people's options ran out, and it just like didn't happen. But I really need to do it. I need to make it happen.
Let's petition it, you guys, because I need more in my life.
We need to do it. You know?
I mean, if Karate Kid can come back with Cobra
That's what I'm
Kai,
saying.
and they were same year, so
Yeah.
roughly around the same time. 3
Yes.
came out the same time as Teen Witch.
That's
so
right.
why can't we bring that back and add to the storyline that we were all left with?
This is what I'm saying, and definitely not a movie where it's like, oh, a remake of it, because
No.
you can never, like when movies like Teen Witch happen, it's kind of like magic in a bottle. Like you don't know, and you can never recreate that.
Right.
So I think it should be a series.
I think it should too. Definitely agree with that.
Uh,
So speaking of Karate Kid, you played Jessica Andrews
Yes,
in Karate Kid 3,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
and you become, as the storyline unfolds in Cobra Kai, you become longtime friends with Daniel LaRusso, Ralph Macchio,
Yep.
because he marries your cousin.
Yes,
Which-
that was so fun. Wasn't that great?
I feel like we needed a little bit more like backstory on that to build a little bit
know.
more on that.
Yes.
When you were approached for Cobra Kai and heard that it was coming back, what were your initial thoughts on them kind of bringing it back as a series? Like, we're talking about for Teen Witch
Yeah.
and where that was going to go. And then when you got on set, how it unfolded for you.
Well, I just remember I wasn't privy to any of it, like the making of it. I think it started on YouTube, and then it became like this mass sensation, and people loved it, and I was like, this is so great. I love seeing my friends succeed, like Billy and I have been friends since we were, my gosh, way before, well, it was after Karate Kid, but like he and I have been friends forever. So I was so excited about that, and then it became like this. Ringing is awful.
Yeah.
People loved it, and I was like, oh, I really hope that I end up, on the show at some point. And then of course the creators called, and what's so cool about them is they're huge fans of the franchise themselves.
Right.
And so when I ended up on set, it was just like everyone was so excited, and then I was so happy to see everyone. It was like this big reunion, and I just feel guilty sometimes getting paid for jobs like that because I'm having so much fun.
Right.
And I also loved how they really put a lot of thought into how to bring, these characters back that were in the original. And I thought it was so clever to make me her cousin. I thought it was so cool.
Yeah.
I loved it. I would have loved to have done more, but
I definitely think that they brought back a lot of the original nuances, the same feel and the same
Yes,
vibe.
yes.
And I mean, we're fans. We've binged all the way through it, and we love it.
Yeah,
My husband
yeah.
and I. So I definitely,
yeah.
I think we're getting one more season, and then it's the
Yes,
finale.
yes,
So
yes, uh-huh.
I'm excited to see where that goes. And then, have you heard about the new project in the now newly coined Miyagi-verse?
No, I see.
Have you guys heard this Miyagi-verse?
Do you guys know? I don't know.
Yes. So
Oh,
there's
really?
it's called Karate Kid Legends is coming out,
Oh God.
and it's gonna have Ralph Macchio and Jackie Chan in it because they're taking from the Jackie Chan and Jaden Smith
Oh, I
version
love
and then
Jackie-
the original
Oh, really?
one, and they're kind of combining them.
It's a series.
It's coming out as a movie. It's supposed to be coming out in May of next year, 2025. So my question to you was did you know anything about it?
Well,
But
clearly I didn't. I had no idea.
and then my next question was what do you think the take of it, of them bringing the two universes together, like the two
Oh my
different
gosh.
filming?
I don't know anything about it, so it's hard for me to comment on it. Other than it sounds really exciting because I love Jackie Chan, and I love Ralph, and those are such, the Karate Kid was such a massive, it was literally one of my favorite movies. So for me to have been a part of it was like, because I'm just human as well. Like
Right.
all of us actors, we all like are in awe of each other. You know, we fan out over each other as well. So it's like, here I am, 17 years old, and I'm in scenes with Ralph Macchio and Mr. Miyagi, and I'm having these like, my inner Robyn is going, oh my god, I can't believe, like I literally cannot believe I'm in a scene with these two legends, and I was such a huge fan of Karate Kid 1 especially, and 2, so that was pretty major.
Yeah, and it's your teen years at the same time as you're
Yeah.
filming
Yeah.
this.
That's right.
Bunch of good-looking guys.
Oh, it was
and,
just, it was, honestly, it was so surreal for me. It really was, because that movie had such an impact on my life, and I was very young when the first one came out, so I couldn't believe it, you guys. I really couldn't believe it. And I didn't even know the director was this legendary director that did Rocky.
Right.
The things I didn't know that I wish I had then, I just didn't even appreciate.
It's all the things that you look back and go, I wish I would have stepped back a little bit and looked into the project more before going in.
I was just so young, and I was like, I didn't do stuff like that. You didn't have IMDb. You couldn't look up people. It was very different.
Definitely was a different world for
Yeah.
sure. So you have, as I mentioned earlier, over 100 acting appearances in shows, series, movies, all of that. And some of those are with some greats and some legends that you've had the
Yes.
amazing opportunity to work with. Neil Patrick Harris, Jason
Yes.
Priestley,
Yeah.
the amazing legend Robin Williams. You played his
Yes.
daughter.
Goldie Hawn.
Yeah, Goldie Hawn. Like,
my
is there
gosh.
any actors or actresses or directors in your bucket list that you haven't worked with that you would love to work with that has just kind of always been in the back of your head?
If you had asked me this like in the 80s, I would have said John Hughes. Like, I just think his films were so extraordinary.
Yes.
But we have legendary directors that Steven Spielberg. I mean, the list is endless, but like, wow. Those films like The Goonies and that whole era, they don't make them like that anymore.
There's no movie magic like that anymore.
I don't know what it is, but like that was one of the greatest time for filmmaking, in my opinion. Like, I just loved it.
I definitely agree.
Yeah.
So what was your experience like with Robin Williams? I mean, we all know him as a legend and he's
Yes.
amazing and we hear all these great stories, but
Yes.
I like to hear people's personal interactions with that. How was that?
My interactions were minimal because, I was 13. He's an
Right.
adult. But I have to tell you, he could not have been kinder, funnier, wittier. Like, everything the way you see him on screen is exactly how he was in person. Just lightning in a bottle, and sharp, and always on, and just very kind. I think I saw him, oddly enough, I went to Whoopi Goldberg's wedding with Neil Patrick Harris, because Neil and I were friends.
Right.
And so we went to the wedding, and Robin Williams was there, and I said, oh, hi, I don't know if you remember me, but I played your daughter, and he was so kind and so wonderful. He was just a genuinely good human being.
Were you ever on set with him? Were you ever nervous or, like
No.
going into some filming like, a little timid, and did he ever give you words of encouragement
No. At that point, I had been working my whole life, so it was very it was second nature for me to be on set. I knew he was a legend, but again, I was only 13 at the time, so, I felt pretty comfortable, yeah.
Is there, we always talk about the great memories and the good stuff and all of that. Is there ever a crazy experience or off the wall moment that you had filming a particular project that still sticks with you to this day?
Oh, I would probably have to dig deep for that one, but I'm sure I've definitely had experiences that but overall, the overarching theme is all of my experiences have been really positive. I've been fortunate enough to work with really great people, kind, welcoming them. But listen, I have worked with on some shows where I'm like, get me out of here. They're not kind, they're not welcoming, they don't make, to go onto a set, if you're a guest actor
Mm-hmm.
and you're going onto a show that's well established and you don't know, it always feels like you're the new kid coming in second semester of at school, and they're the popular kids. You don't know anyone, so it's so nice when they're like, "Oh, hi, nice, welcome," But there have been a few where you don't get that, and it's really hard to like be able to do your best work when you feel not really the warmth.
Right.
I will say 30 Rock was I don't know if any of you guys saw 30 Rock, but that was one of my favorite jobs, one of my favorite acting jobs. I love the show. It was so legendary, and I was so excited to be a part of it. And I can't say enough wonderful things about Tina Fey and Alec Baldwin. They were so great, and because they were so welcoming and warm, I was able to do my best.
Right.
You can see in my performance, like, I felt comfortable, I felt free, I felt like it makes all the difference. And then when I look at I don't feel that way, it's night and day.
Night and day. Have you ever had a moment on scene where you're like, I got it down, I'm going, and then you go in and then you just like flub everything, and then it's just like the biggest laugh for the whole cast and crew?
Oh yeah, I think we've all been there and had those experiences where you just like, or you get the giggles at the most inappropriate times, and you're like, you can't get through the scene because you're looking at each other and you can't stop laughing. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm never gonna get, and then the crew's getting really annoyed, things like that. I've had some, or like there's tension on set because a camera operator can't get the move down, and then I have to do my most emotional scene next, and I'm feeling honestly, yeah, I've had some crazy experiences.
So what was your, again, early 80s or 80s, 90s was my time frame of watching television and enjoying shows and movies. And I was a huge Jason Priestley fan.
Yeah.
And you spent a lot of time with Jason.
I did.
How was that experience with you? I mean, besides,
Oh gosh. Do you guys know Jason Priestley from 90210? Okay. So, okay. Yeah. Jason, we dated for 2 years. I was very young. He was young, but we did Teen Angel together.
Right.
And so this was pre-90210. It was a year before 90210, and then we dated a year into the show, and oh my gosh. It went from, we would go to like events, and it was like, they would want to take photos of just me, and like, oh, will you stand aside, Jason, and just do photos, singles of me. And then it was like, our worlds just flip-flopped, and, he was so wonderful. That was a lot for someone of his age to, I mean,
that
you guys,
fast.
like, we couldn't even drive down the road without girls screaming from the other car. I'm like, I cannot handle this. This is too much. So, we were young, and it was sweet. It was like he was my first love, and I still keep in touch with him-ish. And, it was great. Gosh, that was so long ago. But that was wild for that show. And I auditioned for 90210 and turned down the role of Andrea. I don't know if you guys know that. Jason and I would have ended up working together. So it all works out. Like, that would have been a nightmare.
That's interesting because him and Andrea had great on-screen chemistry. And their storyline was really great too.
Yes.
So it would have been really fun for you to play that storyline of her.
I had just gotten so tired of playing like that role where it was like the underdog, and I wanted to play. I was like, oh, Brenda's role, I would love to play that, but Shannon had already been cast in that.
Yeah.
So I was like, nah, I don't want to do it. I met with Aaron Spelling and everything, and I turned it down. But honestly, you guys, I have no regrets. I would have been a gazillionaire. This is true. But other than that, I really don't have any regrets.
From all of your filming, is there a memento from any of your sets that you have taken home that is just a special treasure to you, that just is something that you've always kept?
No.
I mean, I know that you guys get all kinds of things, or sometimes
we don't
you bring
get all kinds of things.
a lot of the guests that I've interviewed, they've
serious?
I've come home with cars and motorcycles and clothes.
Okay, what shows are they doing? I don't get any of that crap. Are you kidding? I didn't even get the amulet. I didn't get anything. And the clothes that I wore in the movie, I didn't realize I should have kept. I don't have anything. I have, literally the most you'll have like your set chair where it'll have your name and then the project on the back. I have that, or like your wrap gift, which is like a jacket with your name on it and the show. That's it.
You never like were sly and like took something home or a bracelet or.
I just didn't know to, I didn't know to. Isn't that terrible?
Just think about it. You'd be a gazillionaire again. You took some of that stuff home, put it on eBay.
I know. Gosh, no, I don't know anything. No treasures.
So, do you have any big projects coming up?
Oh, yes, you guys, I do. So, you guys know Taylor Sheridan,
Yes.
who does Yellowstone. So I'm going to be in 2 of his shows, which I'm so excited about. There's a new one called Landman with Billy Bob Thornton,
Yes.
John Hamm, lots of great actors, and Lioness. Special Ops with
Yes.
Nicole Kidman.
Oh,
I got to
yay.
work with the legendary Nicole Kidman, and that was, oh my gosh, she's wonderful too. She's such a wonderful person.
And Taylor Sheridan, I mean, just
He's so
everything.
great.
Everyone says he's so amazing. And,
He's so talented.
and he's so submersive. Like,
Yeah.
the fact that he went in and learned Native American language.
Crazy.
And
He's a genius.
lived the life and
Yeah.
it was part of his growing up.
Yes.
And how that man has so many productions going on and so many things out
I
there in the
know.
world. Tulsa King, Mayors of Kingstown.
And he writes every episode. Here's a fun fact. He was in my dad's acting class for like 10 years. I didn't know him then
Wow.
because I wasn't in my dad's acting class. I should
You're like,
have been.
ours already did
But
acting.
he was in my dad's acting class for 10 years. Is that crazy?
That's crazy.
Yeah, before he was like, I'm done with this. I'm going to just make my own stuff.
But it's also kind of small world at
Yeah,
the same time. You
yeah.
know, 10 years in your dad's class and now you're working.
I know.
You know,
Isn't
like
that special? Yeah.
it's all that fun stuff.
So yeah.
Okay, I want to open it up to you guys. Do you
Yeah,
guys have
me
any
too.
questions?
I can't wait.
Who do we got some questions from? Anybody?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ashley had mentioned that you'd got a very, very large catalog of it. One of my little favorite things that I seen you pop up in was Criminal Minds. You were in an episode of that, and you had a pretty good group of people. Will Wheaton, I think, was the unsub in that one.
Yes.
And I can't remember the actor's name right now, but he was Ethan in Lost.
Oh, it's no, it's he's Tom Cruise's
Cousin, yeah. You guys were all just so awesome in that, and for it just to be a one-off
Thank you.
episode to have it, what was that like?
That was so great. William Maypother was his name, by the way. It was especially cool because 2 things. I had worked with Thomas Gibson on Chicago Hope, and he's in the show. But Will Wheaton and I we graduated from a private school together. We knew each other as like teenagers, and then we end up doing this episode together where he like terrorizes me, and it was really awful. And he, like, in between takes, he was like, Robyn, I'm so sorry. Oh, Robyn, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. This is terrible. I feel so terrible. And I'm like, Will, we're acting. It's fine. It's fine. But that was a really great, I really loved that episode. It was super creepy, but I got to work with really talented people. And yeah, glad you liked that one.
I got 2 questions.
Okay.
One is, how come your stupid brother-in-law didn't put you in his new movie?
You know what? I'm going to text.
I thought he needed a therapist
I'm gonna
again.
send him a
Didn't he?
text right
Yeah,
now.
text him.
Why don't you just
Listen,
FaceTime him and we'll all
listen.
just,
Yeah,
boo him
just
on the
tell
phone.
him fans are
Boom, and
wondering
then you can just
why
hang
the
up.
real star wasn't there in his new movie. And then the other question is, when you look at your list of roles that you played at the beginning of your career, it was just the show that existed, that everybody talked about at the time, over and over and over again. Knight Rider, Doogie Howser, it's the show everybody talked about. And then when we get to the 90s, you do quite a few episodes of Twin Peaks.
Yes.
When you are a child actor going through all those giant shows, when you hit Twin Peaks, did you have a feeling that thing was going to be the pop culture phenomenon that it was after already living through Knight Rider and Doogie Howser and all that?
Well, these are such great questions. That's such a great question. And thank you for reminding me of, like, I have so much, like, gratitude for the work, the shows that I've been able to be on in the films is like, honestly, like it's so, I don't take any of it for granted. When Twin Peaks came along, it was such a mass sensation. And this was season 2 that I was in. So I was already like huge fan of the show. And so when I got the audition, I was like, oh my gosh, I have an audition for Twin Peaks. Are you kidding? I was like dying over it. And some of you may know this or not, but in the description, it was just like Lana, she was supposed to be so beautiful that all the guys were just falling in her. And I was like, okay, I need to do something that's going to set me apart from any beautiful girl. Like, I'm not going to go in there and get it on that. So I read it and I was like, oh, I'm from Georgia. And I was like, oh, I'm going to make her Southern. I'm going to make her like, and that's going to be so good. I thought, okay, they're going to love it or they're going to hate it, but I'm going to take a risk and I'm going to do something different. And I ended up getting it. And I was so excited. And I thought, man, I just landed the greatest job. I'm going to be on this show for years. And then it gets canceled. I was like, how? This show was so massive. And then it was like done. I mean, I did several episodes, and it was an incredible experience. And then I worked with David Duchovny on X-Files, and I had no idea, you guys. He came up to me, and he was like, Robyn, it's so good to see you. And I was like, what? and it was a huge show, and I thought, what? He has no idea that he doesn't know me. And I was like, hi, we've never met. He goes, what do you mean? Together, and I was like, no, we didn't. And then he was like, yes, Robyn, in Twin Peaks. It was one of my first jobs. I couldn't believe it. I was so embarrassed. I was like, I had no idea. He was in a scene at my wedding. Had no idea. No clue. Isn't that cool?
You have David Duchovny coming to you and going, hi. And
I thought he was so mistaken. I was like, this is so embarrassing. He doesn't know me. But he did. Anyway, it was fun.
Any other questions?
There's one couple in back.
And we have a couple up in the front too, Charlie.
Okay, I'll make my way up.
Thank you.
Charlie, you're doing a great job.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, guys.
We've talked a lot about the shows and movies that you've been a part of and changing and molding pop culture throughout the decades, but I want to know, it might be personal or silly or both, what shows are you enjoying, like in your free time? What TV or movie shows make you inspired or keep you motivated as you go through your journey through your amazing career?
Such a great question. Changing and molding pop culture. I'm going to write that down. That was really nice. Oh gosh, you guys, this is going to sound crazy, but I get so overwhelmed with all of the streaming platforms and what to watch that it was so much simpler when it was just like NBC, Fox. You had shows and everyone would sit around like Twin Peaks. You knew when it was coming on. But there's such incredible television now. And I hate to admit it, but I really love crime drama. I love crime drama. There are some extraordinary shows, and I would actually be open to hearing what your favorites are, because I can't find anything that I'm like, I start one and then I'm like, oh, but this one, Bad Sisters, I started that one and that one was really good. Like, I love that one. But I find that I'm really overwhelmed by all of the options and the choices. Like, it's overwhelming to me, and then I can't find one that I just stick with. And then when you find one, then it's done. It's over.
Or it gets canceled.
Yeah.
We were just talking about that this morning. We were talking about Chaos on Netflix.
Oh.
Have you heard about this?
No.
It's got Jeff Goldblum in it. And
I love Jeff Goldblum.
And he plays
he's so great.
Zeus. That's right. Sorry. He plays Zeus, and it's the gods in the modern world and how they manipulate and do everything.
Oh.
And the storyline was really great, and I was like, oh, finished it. I'm like, I'm ready for season 2 because this is going to be amazing. And then Netflix just announced that they just canceled it, and I was like,
that's what I'm saying.
I'm going to cancel you, Netflix.
Right. Or then it's like you binge the episodes, and then you have to wait forever.
It's like Bridgerton. All the people that are into Bridgerton and all of that.
Yeah.
You watch it, and then they drop it, and they drop 7 episodes, and then you're like, but I need more.
And I want it now.
Or this new thing where they're dropping like the first 4 episodes of the season and then they make you wait 2 or 3 weeks and then they drop the last 4, or they
right.
drop 2 and then they wait another 4 weeks and drop 2 more.
Yes.
I understand longevity and I understand
Yeah.
drawing it out, but we want it now.
We
And
do.
unfortunately, with social media and the way that the world has changed, what we want is we want it now.
Yes.
So that
yes.
makes it hard too.
It is. It does.
We have another question for you.
Oh, great.
Hi, Ms. Lively. I had 2 quick questions.
Okay.
First question is, you did a show in '97 called Savannah.
Yeah.
My mother used to watch it all the time, and I was like, wait a minute. Robyn Lively is on the show? Oh, okay, cool, I'll watch it. And then they got canceled, and
Yeah,
thanks,
again.
CW. And my first question was, what was your experience like doing that show, and did you have any good stories?
I do have good stories. So, okay, so Savannah, again, that was Aaron Spelling. So Aaron remembered me from 90210. And that show was great again. I was like, it's Southern, I'm from the South. Oh, that's so easy. I love getting auditions that are from the Southern. So I'm like, oh, that's in my back pocket because I can actually do a Southern accent. But I loved it. Again, that was another one where I feel like I have bad luck sometimes, you guys, because I get on shows that I think are just going to run. They're going to be huge hits. Like I did George and Leo with Jason Bateman and Bob Newhart, and it was like done. I'm like, how does that? Anyway, it's back to Savannah. We had such a great time on that show. Fortunately, the 3 of us, we all got along so well. And then George Eads ended up going on to do he hit
Nick.
the lottery with what was it? What's
Oh, no, I'm sorry, I meant
Coldplay-
CSI. He was
CSI,
Nick, I'm sorry,
CSI.
my fault.
But honestly, such great people, and it was short-lived. And again, it was like the WB's or CW it was their huge hit, and I don't know what happened with it. I have no idea, but it is what it is.
Just blame the network, it's easy. My second question is about the Karate Kid Part 3. Did you have any stories or any good experience working with a legend that is Pat Morita?
Oh my gosh, yes. Everybody wants to know, and he was just as kind as you would have imagined that he would have been. It was such an honor for me to get to do scenes with him and work with him and be on set in the makeup room, and I was honestly I felt like just this normal girl that was having this incredible opportunity to get to work with legends, and I'm like, I feel like a fraud. Do they know that? Should I really be here? I'm just a huge fan. So it was so great. What an incredible time in my life and my career, and to be able to still do what I love today, to transition from a teenager to now and still be working is, especially as our industry has changed. Again, like I've said many times, I don't take a moment of it for granted because it's such a competitive industry, and I feel so insanely blessed and fortunate. But to be able to work with legends like that, I showed my kids Karate Kid. They don't care. They don't watch my stuff. But I was like, you guys, that's my name up there with Ralph Macchio and Pat Morita, and that's my name. That's so crazy. So I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Great.
Right up here.
So I have a question,
Yes.
and that is whether or not you feel lucky or unlucky that you were never swallowed up by the fame monster.
Oh, very lucky. I think it's why I've been able to have longevity in my career, because I never hit a level of fame that was out of control, where you just kind of
Speaker, Charlie, speaker.
you got it, where you just hit this fame and then you burn out and that's it, and you're like a household, name, and then you're known for that one thing. So I feel like I kind of just flew under the radar. People know me. I've established a name for myself. And so I feel honestly really fortunate that the way my career has gone, that it's been steady. It's been steady and consistent. And that's really it's the best. I have friends that from from my youth are like, I can't believe you're still working. You are so lucky. Because most people, it's you have your little time and then you're done.
15 minutes and then
Yeah.
you're moved on. Yeah.
And then you're done, yeah.
You'll still get your 15 minutes at some point?
I hope so. I mean, I just I love working. I love what I do, and as long as I'm still working, I've never been one where I don't crave fame. I don't crave the celebrity side of it. I just love doing good work, and I that's what I love. So, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you one last question to
Yes.
close out our panel. Something that I like to hear from our guests and stuff. If you were not acting and you had not pursued in the acting field, as a child growing up, what was your dream job going to be besides acting?
Okay. You guys are gonna laugh so hard when I tell you what I always wanted to be. Well, this was when I was really young. It's so funny. I wanted to be a waitress. So much so that my dad, I was probably like 9, he got me for Christmas a waitress pad. And I was so excited to go around the family and take everybody's order. Is that the funniest thing ever?
I think that's fantastic. But that just tells you how humble she is. She just wanted something normal, not
I just,
anything
like,
crazy.
But it's funny too because it's like it was also I was very observant as a child, and like I would imitate people and I would character study people, and I think I really watched the waitresses and I watched how different they were and the different dynamics, and I wanted to be that character, like. I think it was more that than anything, but I am not knocking being a waitress by any means, But yeah, I think that's so interesting that like I really did. I wanted to be a waitress.
Now, if you just washed your hands with acting right now
Yeah.
and you wanted to go into something else, where do you think that you would go?
Oh, it would definitely be directing, because I've grown up on sets. It would be producing, directing, something like that.
So are you working on anything?
Not yet, because to be honest with you, like I love acting. Like that's where I thrive. It's not to say that I couldn't direct. I'm sure that I could, because I probably know more than I think I do about it. But I genuinely love the creative aspect of acting and like embodying different characters, and it's so fun.
All
And
right.
scary and hard.
Well, you guys, this is our panel. Thank you, Robyn, for coming
you
in and
guys,
sitting
thank you
with
so
us
much.
and answering all of our questions and
Thank
everything.
you.
Robyn will be back at our table. Please
will.
stop by, visit her, have a chat, autographs. Love her all
you
weekend.
guys,
We
thank
love
you.
her. Thank you guys so much. And
Thank you
we'll
so
see you guys
much.
later.
Thanks, you guys. Thank you for all of your wonderful questions. Yeah, absolutely.